on an area in Ireland called Belmullet. So we have Ireland, UK. So you catch your ferry crossing from Wales across to Ireland. Probably best to go from Holyhead to Dublin, I would imagine. And an area, Ballina, just there. So I've been to Clifton, this area, Westport, and we stayed... Where did we stay? Get rid of that. Achill Island, which is here, and we went fishing out here. But the area I want to talk about is this place here, Belmullet. That's what the video is going to be based on. Belmullet. And it's not far from where we were, actually. But they hold some fishing festivals there, and there's some they get some big turbot and all sorts of there. So we're just going to go into a few areas. So if you go into Ireland, this is a venue where you could spend a week. There's some charter boats there as well. So yeah, I've not actually set eyes on it, but I've not been far from it. So we'll just talk through some bait collecting places and some areas where you can fish. So we'll start with Belmullet itself, and funny enough, you can actually catch mullet there. So yeah, it's really sighting your fish, seeing where they are, sighting your fish, and then targeting them. I used to use, I used to find raw steak was pretty good, even on sabikis, if you just want to fish the bottom. Just bait up your sabikis, tiny little size, like 10 hooks, something like that, size 12. And just bait up like your 5 hooks, and just put some raw steak on it. Not too big, just enough on it, and just leave it out for 10 minutes. Rebait it because the blood will get washed out of it. I find that was really good for mullet. Failing that, if you can sight some fish, just float fish, a bit of bread floating on the surface, a bit of crust with a little bit of white bread, so it'll just float, and just get it just to bob and just to float, and just keep an eye on that. And sweet and simple rig, and you'll get mullet like that. So that is the Belmullet there. And it talks about, in this whole area, lugworm and crab for bait collecting. So you just want to have a look and just on a low tide see your lugworm casts, bring a fork, these sort of areas where my cursor is, just have a good look round. It should be pretty common sense for your bait, really, somewhere like that. Where else can we start? So that's Belmullet itself. So we're just going to go out of there, and I'm just going to go out of the island, so to speak, and over to this area here. This is one place, Portacloy. This area in here, and it talks about off the rocks here. I think you can fish off the end here. I think I've read something where you can, but you want to be careful. Fish the right conditions. I think there's a little pier here, just there where my cursor is, or the beach itself. So we're talking about catching coalfish, dabs, so it's going to be sandy, dogfish, flounder, mackerel, plaice, pollock and turbot. So you want the sand for your flatfish, and if you're going after something like a turbot or something like that, to be honest, bits of mackerel, fresh mackerel is the way to go. So you can probably start your session with trying to get a few mackerel off the rocks, lure fishing for pollock and coalfish. And then once you've got yourself some fresh mackerel, grab your surf caster, and either, if you can see some sand from one of these points here, just lob it out onto the sand from here so you can get a bit further out. Failing that, on an incoming tide in here, I suppose. Yeah, so nice and remote spot. So that's one spot there. There's another one round the corner. What's it called? Zoom out. Porturlin. Just here, looks like another replica. There, looks like another little pier there. Some parking, a load of little boats and stuff. Really get some bait from there as well. Talks about coalfish, dab, eel, flounder, mullet and pollock in this area here. So literally it's the same sort of techniques. And and see what you can sort of muster up there. Another nice little spot. Okay, I'm just trying to think what else we've got in the area. So some of these cliffs look quite high there, so it's quite inaccessible there. So remember, you want some spots which are good, easy access, and you don't want to be sort of doing sort of a K2 expedition to try and get to your fishing spot, like I've done in the past. Ridiculous. There's a place here, if I can just cite it, Rinroe Beach, all this area around here, bass, flounder and plaice. Alright, so if you've got the bass, for bass you want a bit of surf on them, so you want a northwester. You want to come and roaring in here for a good day on the bass, but you never know, you might pick them off on an incoming tide here. Access would be on these roads here, probably this road down here to Rinroe Point. Let's have a quick look at that, see what it shows us, and beautiful. What have we got? There we go. Paragliders, weed, got a nice little bit of surf there. Bit of a pier. Lovely. Right, so that's your bass, flounder and plaice. So obviously your surf caster, you're looking for lugworm, I would say, targeting your plaice and your flounder, but your bass would probably like a bit of lugworm as well. Definitely, but you want a bit of surf running for a bass. You can explore with a spinner around this area here, maybe a sea trout or something. So yeah, it talks about that. It talks about Rossport, this area here, Rossport. And it again talks about bass, flounder and plaice. So this whole area, maybe fishing inside here. You might be on an incoming tide, you might be able to, because remember they're sort of going to flood up in here and be a lot deeper, so you probably sort of be able to get them in here. You see, there'll be places, it's a good place to get out of the way of a westerly. Okay, so that is sort of the mainland. So let's hop on to Belmullet Island right quick. Okay, so we've got Belmullet, we've targeted to mullet there. Ballyglass Lighthouse, where are you? Ballyglass Lighthouse. Can't see you. Alright, we can't see it. Okay, Ballyglass Pier, where's that then? There it is, Ballyglass Pier, just here. Okay, this area here, and we're talking about fishing for coalfish, codling, dogfish, flounder, plaice, pollock, ray and turbot. So it looks like there's a bit of sand out here. Quite an interesting spot where you would do it in the evening for your have a go in the evening, or as the sun's starting to set. It's a good time, I would say. Looks like it might be a place to launch a boat here, just down here, this area there. Slipway there, look. If you've got your own boat, that might be an option. Looks like there might be another one here, or is it just towards that property there? So yeah, so we'll be on the lookout for things like that, boat ramps and things. Right, so that's Ballyglass Pier. So Ballyglass Lighthouse is on this point here. It must be that area, this one here, look. Right, and it talks about coalfish, conger, dogfish, mackerel, pollock, pouting and wrasse. Alright, so very exposed on this headland, look. That must have taken some weather over the years. So this side is probably the safer side. And yeah, target your conger, target your mackerel. Again with the conger, expect, you know, tackle losses, so bring your rotten bottoms and some spark plugs and things like that. Wrasse fishing on lures and baits. Again for your wrasse, you're looking for hardbacks for bigger wrasse, but they'll take lugworm as well. If you want somewhere to dig some lug, Where are we? We'll just go into that in a minute. There's a place called Pollacoppal, or whatever. Yeah, Pollacoppal Bay Beach, Pollacoppal. Yeah, so that beach there looks pretty tasty, and it's talking about flounder, mackerel, pollock, ray, and turbot. So rays and turbot from there. So if you're after your turbot, you want bits of fresh mackerel strip. That'd be the way forward there. What else have we got? Blind Harbour. There you are, Blind Harbour in here. So I'm guessing you can dig your lug in there. Flounder, pollock, plaice, sea trout. So there's some sea trout operating in this area here. You just have to sort of go there and just have a look really, and just sort of see what you can do. Talking about pollock, plaice, sea trout, and flounder. You've got a better chance of picking up plaice from this area, I'd say. But hey, you know, you can give it a go. Maybe it's talking about fishing off this sort of area. Okay, so Lugworm. This must be here. Let's talk about Lugworm over here. Can't see it. I can't see it. I think Lugworm. This is where you're going to get your Lugworm in here. Alright, so Glen Lara. Let's go to Glen Lara, shall we? Glen Lara. Erris Head. Alright, Glen. I think this is Glen Lara. Won't engage. Doesn't want to call it anything. Glen Lara. Okay, I'm just trying to identify where Erris Head. So it's talking about this area here, Erris Head, for coalfish, conger, dogfish, gurney, mackerel, and plaice. So from this road, it looks a bit of a hike up, but it's talking about this point here. Can't see any paths or anything. I can see a path here, but it talks about this area here. It must be accessible somehow there. Very exposed spot, so be careful on that one. And there's another one down here, this area here. Glen Lara it's called. Coalfish, conger, dogfish, pollock and wrasse. So it looks like you just have to sort of be on the lookout for the old. There's a definite spot there, and there's something in this area here, but it doesn't look too accessible to me. There's a track there or something. And here, whether it's in there, I don't know. But there you are. Alright, so next spot round the corner, let's zoom out. Next spot round the corner is where my cursor is. And there's Lugworm here, this area here. Lugworm there, digging in there, which is good. And then off the point here, to say their retirement life. What's that all about? I don't bother with that. And yeah, so this point here is called French Port, conger, flounder, sea trout, and ray. Okay. So it's talking about driving up here, parking up here somewhere, wandering across all over here. So anywhere around here looks like for a conger. Flounder looks like more casting into the sand this way. Who knows? You might be able to, on a nice clear day, you might be able to see some sand from here and just cast to that. Sea trout and ray, some sea trout. So if you're after your sea trout, go for your spinners. Metal spinners, just relax, retrieve. You get your pollock like that as well, and your mackerel. Okay, so Anag Head. Not very good at pronouncing these Irish places. Is this one here? Coalfish, conger, dogfish, mackerel, pollock, and wrasse. All right. So again, float fishing for your wrasse. Hardbacks would separate your specimen fish. And let's have another quick look at this, what we got here. 54 photos, so a quick look. I mean, these photos are pretty good, but there's nothing like actually physically being there. See what I'm saying? So spectacular. It would be really awesome, as I'm sure you're aware. Coron Point. God, it's quite a lot. It's deceiving how many places they're actually out of fish. Coron Point. Which I think is this thing here. I think it's this thing here, this bit of beach here. Yeah, Coron Point. Bass, flounder, dogfish, mackerel, plaice, pollack and sea trout. Around here. It looks really good, don't it? Looks really stunning. And then we're going to work our way down just to have a look. Have a look at her. You can get a charter boat to these islands, and they do like a catch and cook trip and all that sort of stuff. And there's even like some real specialist sort of boats who'll just fish all day as well. So Blacksod Point, this one here. This area here looks pretty good. Good parking as well. That's what I like. Nice and easy. Blacksod. So you might be able to get a boat from here. And it's talking about conger, dogfish, mackerel, pollack and ray. So your conger fishing would probably warm up at night time. There's some rays off there as well. So you cast out onto this bit of sand. Quite an interesting spot there. The other side is a place called Gisala. Let's have a look at that. Gisala. A bit higher up this, here it is. Let's show it. Anyway, I can tell you it's this spot here. Bass, flounder and sea trout. Gisala it's called. Yeah, Gisala. Bass, flounder and sea trout. If you're down this side. So let's go back to the island. And Ellie Bay. Oh, I used to know a girl called Ellie. She was quite hot. Ellie Bay, which is this one in here. And it's talking about dogfish, flounder and plaice. Dogfish, flounder and plaice. Alright, so there's tons of opportunities. Absolutely tons. And also this side, you know, gets you out. If the westerlies really don't going for one, you've got some fish on the other side, you see. So I think we're getting close to the end of it now. I think that's everything. I think that's all the spots. Right, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let's just zoom out and give it a little summary. So there you go. So there's plenty of opportunities there. There's a few charter boats, you know, and you know there's the options galore really. With regards to maybe having a couple of days out on a boat, having a couple of days, a day sort of rock fishing, trying an area, see how you get on, move around, try something else. If you want an evening fishing, maybe drive down to Blacksod and fish off the pier for some different bits and pieces. Options galore. I think the boats fish in here, Blacksod Bay in here. So there's boat fishing regardless of what the weather's doing in there, for a variety of species in there. Then obviously your shark fishing will be out here somewhere. That looks a really interesting spot. Really interesting spot. Like I say, I fished here. I fished down, where is it if I can find it? It's Clear Island. Keel Beach. Fished on that. Porturlin Harbour, here it is. There's some rocks out here. We fished off a reef out here. But it won't show up. It's called the Bill Rocks. It's about out here somewhere. We're getting drifting for cod. Catching cod on red gills. on red gills. Yep, those were the days. That was in the 90s, that was about 1996, something like that. Beautiful time. A beautiful time, it really was. Right, so there you go, there's Belmullet. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Like I say, this is just a sort of, just a quick guide. You know, if you're interested in an island and, you know, it just sort of shows you the spots, you know, where you can go. It doesn't say too much about tide times, other than, from my experience, you would want to book your week's holiday when the tides, when it's a new moon. So when you see a picture of it, it's black, and the tides are building, so there's a good bit of tide there. That's when I would book my week's fishing in the month. And another thing in this video, I didn't mention about when is the best time to catch the fish. So the majority of fish on lures, I can tell you from experience, it'll be an incoming tide. It'll be the top half of the incoming tide. All right. And for a lot of species, for congering at night, ledgering with a big mackerel or a mackerel head for a conger and all that sort of stuff, generally I would say here it's the incoming tide which is always going to be favourable. However, some of these venues off the rocks may fish at all stages of the tide and might be quite good on the ebb, the bottom half of the ebb. But from my experience in these sort of areas, in Cornwall as well, it's the incoming tide which seems to be more favourable. All right, but you just have to sort of give it a go. You know, it's as simple as that. So you're low tide, collecting all your bait and bits and pieces, and you know, the top half of the incoming tide is a good time to. Is to sort of you know, but if you're out in a boat, it shouldn't make too much difference. But yeah, that's just my theory anyway. All right, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.